Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray and I teach watercolor, and today we are doing Rainstorm. I'm so excited for this tutorial because it's fun, it's a new technique, we're using some new stuff, which is pretty great.
So exciting.
We will be doing this project in 3 steps. So our very first step is we are going to do our sky. Our second step, we will do our field. And our third step is just the little silhouette of our landscape.
Those might be my favorite part.
They're so cute. Okay, now the colors that I am using 4 colors. So our very first color, let me rinse my brush here, is Tahoe Blue. Our second color is Burnt Orange. Our third color is Rose Red. And our last color is Lemon Yellow. Okay, we're using our in-house paint brand, Dandelion Paint Co. They're liquid watercolors, which means they are super, super vibrant, which is a lot of fun. It also means that because they're dye-based, they will fade in direct sunlight, so just be aware of that when you're painting stuff. Okay, we are using 3 paintbrushes today. A round 2 for our little tiny spots, a round 12 for our field, and a wash 1 for our sky. Now it's super important, I just want to give you guys a heads up. Your wash brush needs to stay dry. We are not getting this brush wet with water. So if your brush is wet going into this project, I need you to wait till this is dry before we use it, okay?
Okay.
I am using Holbein soft tape to tape my paper down, and you'll notice that I'm using a new surface, which is pretty great. This is an artboard, so you can use this clip to like clip a pad or a sketch pad or something too. I like to tape my paintings down on this because then I can just like move it and let it dry and then keep working on the surface. So what I've run into with watercolor that I've noticed is I always tape my paper, like always tape my paper. I never paint without taping my paper down first. And if I'm trying to work on 2 paintings simultaneously, or if I need my kitchen table later in the day, then I have to untape it before my painting is done drying. So if you get like a couple movable surfaces to tape your stuff to, you're good to go. If you don't have one of these artboards, we carry them on our website, but if you don't have time to get them, you can also use the box that your subscription comes in and just tape your paper to that box. So really just any movable surface, but these are really great, especially for like, they have a handle. I mean, like,
that's super handy.
They are. I had a huge one in college and it was so fun because we would go out and do like big drawings of like trees and stuff, and it was like this big drawing board, but anyways.
Way lighter than a table.
Yes, way lighter than carrying
like
a table
lugging across a table.
Okay, so we're gonna do our oath and then we will get into painting. So if you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
Promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
Great. Now, the first step, which is the sky. I'm going to talk you through how we're going to do that. So then you kind of have a preview of what's coming because it's a new thing. So what we're going to do is we are going to wet the top 2/3 of our paper, just the sky area. And then we're going to mix a really dark blue, kind of like a navy. And we're going to stand our movable surface up, drop the color in along the top, and it's going to drizzle down. And then we're going to use our dry 1-inch wash brush to move it down.
Cool.
Okay? And we're going to do all of that fairly quickly. So that's why I'm telling you what we're going to do before so you can prep for it. We're going to mix our blue first, so then it's ready to go. So I'm going to take some Tahoe Blue and a little bit of Burnt Orange. Now when you add Burnt Orange to Tahoe Blue, it makes a gorgeous green. Like, look at that green. So good.
Such a good green.
But we want our sky to be dark blue, not green. unless you're trying to paint before a tornado. So I'm gonna grab more Tahoe blue, and And I'm gonna grab some red to neutralize that green. Now when you add red, it's gonna turn it more purpley, and that's what I want.
Like a brooding color.
Look at that color, it's good. Now, if you mix that in and you're like, that's still too green, that's still too whatever, adjust from there. And if you're not sure what color it's leaning towards, if you add water to it, it's easier to tell what color it's leaning towards. So I have this blue, rinse your brush, spread that color out. That's actually leaning blue. That's exactly what I want.
Nice.
If it's like, I wanna show you, maybe if it leans green, if you can tell. Like that one's more green. You see what I'm saying?
Yep, totally. Wow.
So sometimes that's helpful if you need help knowing what color. And then I like to have a ton of that mix because we're going for a super dark value here. So we want to make sure that this is like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Look at that. I made a purple. That's okay. I'm just going to add more blue to it. Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
Oh, look at that blue.
That's nice.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Oh, look at that.
That is exactly what I wanted. I'm going to put a little bit more Tahoe blue, so if I need to mix in that purple color. So essentially you're mixing all 4 colors, but make sure you have the most of the Tahoe blue, and that's how you'll get this like really gorgeous navy color that we're going to use.
That is gorgeous.
Okay, now that we have this color mixed, we'll be ready to rock for our sky. So I'm rinsing my brush. And if you need to put like a little sketch of where your line is, your field line, you can. Do I have a pencil right here?
Good question. Let me look around for you.
We're not store and professional. We have all the tools we need right at our fingertips. We're organized. We're prepared. Keenan, I'm running out of things that we are.
We're kind, Sarah. Start making other stuff up.
We're funny. Okay, thank you, Keenan.
Yes, welcome.
So I want my sky to be the star of this painting, which means I'm gonna make sure that it is nice and big. So I'm really gonna take the bottom 2 or 3 inches, and I'm just gonna put in a horizontal line. That's it. Maybe I didn't really need a pencil for that.
Oh, wow, yeah, I don't.
Okay. Ready? I'm gonna work fairly quickly here. And I'm gonna try not to talk in the middle so your painting doesn't dry.
Good luck.
Thank you. I need it. Okay. Using just water, I'm using my 12, working quickly. I'm going to wet the entire area. If you have a larger brush than 12, go ahead and use it. Do not use your 1-inch brush. I repeat, do not use your 1-inch brush. We want that guy to be nice and dry. And I'll just stop at that line. Okay? So again, this is going to be really, really wet. Now, whenever you put so much water on your paper, it starts to buckle. That's normal. But hopefully you've taped it down so even though it's starting to lift and move, you can still work on it. Okay. Now I'm standing my board up. Okay, and I'm going to take this blue that I have. And are we on the side cam? There we go. And I'm just going to drop in this color along the top. Swoop, drop. And we're going to use gravity to move that color down. You see that?
That is the most satisfying in the land.
Now, while it's wet like this, so I put in a good amount of color, okay, all across the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dry 1 inch and we're going to swoop. 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 Can they see that good?
Yep.
Swoop. And I'm swooping down. Try and keep, like my My lines are going a little crooked. Try and keep them straight. Swoop, hit your brush off your paper towel, swoop, swoop.
Look at that sky.
So you're just going to work that down, and we're going to try and create that feeling of rain as it's pouring. And I'm going to do one more layer of dark. You can do as many layers as you want. I feel like I need some more blue. But you want to work quick enough that your paper doesn't totally dry. Now this is really wet, so as long as I'm just being mindful of it, I'm not too worried about my paper drying. So now I got that nice dark blue, and I'm just going to do another layer right on top. And if you want to do like more on one side than the other, feel free to. If you want it to feel kind of even across, that's your right, that's your choice. You're the artist here. Okay? Take your 1-inch brush, swoop, swoop.
That looks so cool.
And I'm honestly just using my apron to dry my brush.
Oh.
Because it's hard for me to reach my paper towel where I'm sitting. You might not have to dry it in between. Some of these areas I'm going to work, especially along the sides, I'm going to work a little bit more to get that color down. Look at that.
That is insane.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to do just one more because I want to show you something. When you start at the top and drag, the value sometimes lightens along the top, and I want to make sure that the very top edge of my paper is the darkest value. I don't want it to be like a medium value, dark value, and then a transition. So I'm just going to do one more layer. Just one more. One more. And the cool thing about mixing colors, and this is why I love mixing colors, is you get hints of other colors when you spread it out. See, there's purple there, there's a brighter blue there. Yes, yes please. Okay, one more. This one was a little bit more green.
Good.
I'm okay with that.
More hints.
Yeah, more variation, more interest, and then just a swoop. And if you don't want to go all the way down, you don't have to. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh, so fun. Now, depending on how wet your paper was, how long you let it stand for, this is all going to look and feel very different for everybody. Another thing that you can do, like let's say you do this and you're like, that was really fun, but it bothers me that this section is white. If that is the case for you, do a wash of a lighter value and let that dry, and then do that technique and see what happens. So then that way, even though there's lighter values, it's not paper white. I don't mind the paper white because I'm a huge fan of like strong contrast in paintings, and we're definitely going a little bit looser here with our realism. So the white sections don't bother me, but if they bother you, that's what you can do. Okay, that's our sky. That was step one.
Nice.
Isn't that fun?
That's super fun. I loved watching that.
Yeah, it's just, and okay, let me explain to you why it's important your brush is dry. When your brush is dry, the bristles stay even across. When they get wet, they start to chunk up. So like, let me see if I can like show you. I wonder if I can do it on here. So if I use that and then I use a wet brush, like sometimes I don't get these thin lines. I get an even stroke, and then even if I like let it dry a little bit, I start to get chunks. So I've noticed that if I want like even thin lines going down and not like a total thick stroke, my bristles need to be dry.
Makes sense.
Okay? Now, when we were kind of like standing our paper up and doing all this dropping, I had some water drip, but that's not a big deal. Because now we're gonna paint our field.
Yes.
So for our field, we want it to be green, but I want you to pay attention to a couple of things before we start that field. one, there's a variation in color. So the hue here is kind of more like orange. Here, let me do this angle so you can see. Like there's more hints of yellow and orange here. And then it's a lighter green, and then it turns to like a darker green with hints of blue. Okay? So those are 3 different greens that we're gonna use. So when I'm mixing my colors, I'm just gonna lay this on top and pray that it doesn't get ruined. Can they see my palette overhead?
They can.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, wrong camera angle for you.
So I have burnt orange, I have yellow, and I have red. And I got blue, so I can take this dark blue and I can mix some yellow into it. And now I have that like really gorgeous dark green. I can take, ooh, that might be, let's add some more yellow to that. This would be like the very top middle, that kind of gold color. And let's do, there's a green. So like, just get like a yellow, gold, a green, and a dark green. And then we can always add color and adjust from there. And I'm gonna use my 12. And I'm gonna have it laying down. I'm going to wet the area. Now your paper, the top part might be a little bit wet still. I love it when there's accidental bleeds. So I never worry about the horizon touching the sky. Like if this accidentally bleeds into the sky, I think that's actually really cool and you get some cool textures. Yeah. If you really don't want that to happen, then just make sure your paper's totally dry before you put this in. So now let's do a dark green along the edge. So I'm gonna take my green, kind of drop it in here.
I love watching it just crawl up the paper on its own.
Isn't it great?
Yes.
Like, let's just put that in. So again, I'm going with dark values kind of along the edge here. Then I'm going to take my pure green. I need more yellow. Mix kind of more of a bright green. Put that there. Oh my gosh. This blood in it looks like trees.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
That is so cool. I'm so happy right now. I love that so much. Okay, so I have this bright green, and now kind of like right at this top in the middle, I'm going to use that little bit of gold. If you want to use burnt orange, you can. If you want to mix together your yellow and red, you can. It just depends on how vibrant you want it to be. Oh, I cannot get over that. I mean, you can't tell right now because that glare is pretty strong there, but when that dries, that's gonna be so cool.
Epic.
Now, you guys know me. I love dropping in just like pure bits of color for that saturation. So I'm gonna let's see what happens if I just do like a little bit of yellow and burnt orange right there. Like, let's just see. Blend it out. Ooh, that's nice.
That is nice.
Okay, so that feels really good. I feel like I need to do some more work along my edge to make that green nice and dark. So I'm gonna get some more blue. And I'm gonna do a mixture of blue and burnt orange. Let's do a little bit more orange in there. Yes. And the nice thing, well, what I really like about like this kind of wet on wet playing and doing landscapes is like, what happens if you just like drop in some color and just let it be? Let it bleed out. Let it move places. Let it do something. Like, people are gonna tell that this is a landscape. And when you have an opportunity to explore a section where you can add interest to it but not lose what's happening, take that opportunity. I love having a large field to paint because I'm like, it's green in a landscape. People are going to know that's a field. And then it's just like, what happens if I put salt? What happens if I drop in color? What if I use this random color? Maybe it'll be flowers. Like, take every opportunity you can to like make it yours and not just something that they would see driving by. Make them see the world in a new way. Okay, I love my field.
Yeah, that's a great, and that tree accident is incredible.
I can't even believe it. Happy accident all the way. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit darker here right on the corner. Just one more layer of dark value. Oh. Okay. Now, this is where we actually do want to make sure our painting is dry before we do this last step. So I have a heat tool that I'm going to use. This is the Ranger Craft Heat It tool.
2000.
It's not a hair dryer.
But
it looks like a hair dryer.
Sure looks like one you get at a hotel.
Like this 100% looks like the hair dryers at hotels. The difference though between, can they still hear me over this?
Yeah, that's not super loud.
Okay, great. The difference between a hair dryer and a craft tool is the strength and like the force of
the fan.
Wind? The fan.
Inside. Yeah.
So if you have a hair dryer that has like a gentle setting, it's possible that it can work great drying your paintings. Just be aware that if there is a lot of force with that large fan, it can make that paint, it can make that water move, and you might not want that. A craft tool just does heat. It doesn't do force. But make sure you move that craft tool around. You don't want, to just like do this. I mean, maybe this one's gentle enough. The last one I use, not gentle enough, and it will for sure burn things.
Cook your paper.
If you smell burning, you should stop.
Don't use it again.
Don't keep going.
Switch to snacks.
Yes. And look, you can see where I dropped in this dark green. There's like these soft like blooms that are starting to appear. There's an unevenness, like so lovely, so lovely. And it's gonna look different on everybody's. And we celebrate that. That's what we want. I don't want you guys to make a cookie cutter project that I'm doing. I want you to use this and then like deconstruct it, take it apart, put your stamp on it. Like, I'm just showing you one way how to do something, but this is your painting and you're the artist. You can do whatever you want. Okay, that feels nice and dry. Now, while the trees were a happy accident and I'm so in love with them, I'm kind of at a conundrum because my little silhouettes are black. So if I were to do black silhouettes with that green tree, I'm trying to decide, do I want to make my silhouettes the same color? Or do I just let them be black and that's just what it is? What do you think, Keenan?
This is a terrifying decision because I don't want you to get rid of it.
Well, I'll probably not listen to whatever you say anyway.
I know. It's in a great location to not bother the silhouettes. I don't know perspective-wise if it could be considered something farther away.
Okay. I'm going to talk through, I want you guys to hear my thinking behind this so we can problem solve this together. I don't know if there's a right answer, but I just want you to hear how I'm approaching this as if you guys weren't here and I were to solve this on my own.
Nice.
I think it would be fine if we did the silhouette the same black and just left that. But then what comes into question is now about proportion, because these are really tiny. See how tiny the little house is?
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Those could be ant houses.
But this is big, so if I were to try and do a small little building next to this and little trees, then that would be like a mountain in proportion to size. You know what I mean?
Right.
So because of that, I can do a couple of things. I can add more of this and just change my size of everything now. So if I were to just be like, okay, those are my trees. I have to adjust the size and ratio of all these other things. So my house would probably have to be, I don't know, like a quarter that size or half a size. Because there are some really big trees out there.
There are, especially in this world where we want to keep the tree.
Yes. In this world.
Yes.
I thought he was talking about Missouri. No, he's meaning in this world.
No, yes. The painting world.
So I can just change the scale on everything here and make it larger, so then these trees make sense in the world that we are painting. The other thing that I could do is I could actually turn this into a mountain range and do a soft value mountain range in the background. And that way I still get this really cool thing and I get to keep it that color, but the silhouette can stay the small. Yes, Keenan.
I have a suggestion that would require changing the accidental tree, but I have to say it because I see it.
Okay.
I see the silhouette of a house with a chimney, and the billowing tree leaves are actually smoke coming out of the chimney.
Okay, I see it too.
So there's another option.
There's another option. Gosh, I wish this was live and you guys could vote.
I know, that would be so. Let's stop now, go live. Like, we're filming, we need your help.
Go live right now. Okay. You know what, Keenan? I really like that idea. I'm going to turn this into a tree with smoke. I mean, a house with smoke.
Oh, okay,
Like
cool.
a chimney. I'm going to add trees and silhouettes. I'm going to change the values and not have it be black. I'll probably have it be in this realm.
Cool.
Okay?
That sounds amazing.
But I'm still going to show you guys how to do the black and the small, so then you don't feel like you didn't get what you were signing up for.
Right.
Because we're changing our mind right now.
Really sorry.
I'm not. No,
I'm not. I'm excited about that.
Okay, let me show you really quick how to mix black. You're pretty much just going to mix all of the colors together. So I have yellow and red. And I'm just doing it with what's already on this palette. Like, I'm not being precious here because it's just all black. So it's blue, red, yellow, orange. Okay, that's reading really brown. So I need to cool it down. Let's do more blue. Blue and red. That's going to make purple, which is what we want. Some fresh red. Some fresh blue. Blue, red, purple. Add that to the brown. Add more blue. And now I have a nice black. So, when you're doing small little sections, like silhouettes, I don't go for a lot of detail because it's so tiny that we really wouldn't be able to see a lot of detail anyway. So you're just going for different shapes. When you do foliage, I like to do kind of more dots and dashes. When you do dots and dashes, it lets light in between, which is how we would see a tree or a bush, right? They're not totally solid.
Cool.
Maybe that's a bush. Maybe that's a growth of trees. I mean, trees come in all different shapes and sizes, so maybe it's like a small, big, big, layered on top of each other. Here, let me do a line so you can see where I'm painting. So there's a little bush. When you do a house, I try and just do a rectangle with a little angle on the top, like a roof. Again, not a lot of detail. It's just enough to say, that is geometric, that's a building. That's organic, that is shrubbery, tree, or bush, okay? Now when I actually really love adding like poles, like telephone wires.
Yep.
But the thing you gotta be careful of is the thickness. So if this is my house and that's how thick it is, think about how thin a telephone pole is compared to a house. So then you want like a super thin line. So it's just like the littlest, and think of how tall it is. Little guy.
Oh, that's
across.
nice.
Maybe it's a little that. So it needs to be a really thin line. If I go in there like this, you're gonna be like, what is that? You know, like this.
Windmill.
Yeah, maybe that could be a windmill. And you can turn things into different things. Like maybe you accidentally did that and you're like, I didn't mean for that to be that thick. We'll put some dots and dashes around it and now it's a tree.
Oh, nice.
You know, all is not lost. And there's, I mean, we're in the Midwest here. There could be, there's silos, there's like
old
maybe there's
semis on the side of the
old
road.
semis, maybe there's like old barns that are dilapidated that aren't perfectly rectangle, but some sort of structure. Like, we don't have to know it all.
Yeah.
But it's just helpful to be like, if there's like angles and straight edges, that is going to read more as a building. If there's like fluff, roundish.
I've also seen tractors and hay bales.
Yeah. Then that's going to read more as like foliage. And that's good. That's what we want. Okay?
Nice.
So that was that. I'm going to essentially do that same thing, but on a little bit larger scale to incorporate that little guy. And I want it to be a darker value because I really love this silhouette, but not so dark that it disconnects from this, okay? So I'm just going to take that same black and mix a little bit of green into it and water. Maybe it's like a brown. And I just want to call attention to, I've never painted this. I don't know how it's going to turn out. This is a vulnerable space for me, okay?
I'm here for it.
Okay, we're trying stuff together. So maybe I start with like the hint of a roof here.
You're following the line exactly.
I can't tell if you're making fun of me.
Nope, 100%. That's literally what I was seeing already.
Yeah?
Yep.
And then maybe there's the front.
Yep.
And let's straighten that edge. And maybe that's the chimney.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then maybe we can help by just doing a hint of that same kind of gray color as the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Drop that in there.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Okay, and then let's think about trees, because I want this to be a tree too.
Yep.
So I'm gonna make like kind of like this uneven tree here. That kind of foliage.
That's nice.
And I'm gonna have it go outside of that green. And maybe this is where we kind of drop in some more green, maybe some more of that dark value, just to see. And as you get like on the outside of things, make your mark smaller. Boop. And maybe over here is like bushes. And I'm gonna kind of mess with the house line a little bit because that house was looking maybe a little too cartoonish.
Okay.
So I want to kind of like confuse the lines a little bit instead of being like, here is a gingerbread house, you know, like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of doing a medium value gray-green.
Oh, I love that.
Okay. And actually, maybe this needs to be bigger. What do you think? Do you feel like these trees need to be bigger?
I don't actually.
No? You think they're good?
Because I keep thinking about the other things you're going to paint. So if those are bigger, maybe, but.
Okay. So then let's do like a larger building over here. Larger and longer. So I'm trying to like follow this a little bit, but just on a larger scale. But I'm gonna tell you guys, I think tiny is so cute and fun. So it just depends on what you're going for here. So there's another building. And we'll go back and do like a little bit of shadow on these. Not a ton though, because like,
Man, that turned out so cool.
and then we're gonna do, let's do some like really crazy foliage over here. So I'm still using my 2. I'm just kind of dropping in this kind of gray-green color and letting it kind of move. It's like scribbles, almost. And even if you want, like if you want to layer it, like maybe maybe there's like a darker foliage right in front that's smaller, you know? Because that happens. They kind of overlap like that a little bit. And then I really liked my little line, my post, so I'm going to do that. Let's do that here. And this could be, I don't know, telephone pole, or maybe just, we have just like a big post outside our house that has one light on it because we don't have lights on our street because we live, you know, in the middle of nowhere, and that's okay. And so that's like our post with the light, maybe.
Could be a windsock.
Yep, I know what that is.
Good.
And I'm going to do more foliage over here. And this one I'm going to go a little bit darker with my value.
To kind of match that bottom left corner?
To match, yeah, that dark and the dark over here. So if you look at it, my edges are dark. My center is where I have a light value sky and that kind of gold color. So I'm going to have my line work here kind of match that. For fun. Okay, now I'm going to go back in and just kind of like add a little dark on some of this, like a little bit of shadow. Maybe there's like a porch. Maybe the roof is casting a shadow, a little bit on the chimney. When things get larger in scale, that's when you have to give them a little bit more detail. When things are tiny, they're tiny. You can't see all that detail. That's why it's actually really hard to paint tiny, but there's benefits to it where like these really vague, tiny silhouette shapes were enough information for this painting. Now that we've gone a little bit larger in scale, I think that we have to have like just a hint of detail of, you know, different values, different textures, because we probably would see that. And it's not a ton, it's just like here's the roof line with a little bit of shadow underneath with some slats. Here is, I'm going to put some darker value on some of this shrubbery. This is so different from the original project.
So sorry.
Nobody get mad at me, please. I hope it's helpful, though.
I think it is. Adding a new perspective to rolling with a cool thing that happened.
Yeah, like, and this is what I mean when I say, like, let your paintings inform you as you go. Now, when I like to do, I love painting landscapes. I do landscapes a lot in my personal work. And actually, this is based off of work that I've done before, learning this technique. And I usually just start off with saying, I know I want to paint a rainy sky in a green field. And that's all I start with. And then as these moments pop up, I change. Where one time I was doing a rainstorm project and almost like a lake appeared in the middle of my painting. So I left it alone and created a lake in the middle of my painting.
Cool.
That wasn't the original intention, but it's the same thing. Like, I went into this project intentionally going to make these small little silhouettes like in this reference photo. But that was so exciting that it was just like, let's try something here. Let's learn something here. And then if you find that, then maybe the next time you paint that, maybe you let the green bleed into the sky a little bit more on some of these other areas. And you're like, now that's a mountain, or now that's a whole new tree line. Or, you know, next time if it does happen, you're like, I'm gonna see what it looks like now with just doing a tiny silhouette across it. Like, all of these things are learning opportunities. And even if it is a mistake, we learn from our mistakes. That's sometimes the most, like when we learn the fastest. Okay, one thing I am going to do, can I just say, like, even though that was really exciting, I'm loving what's happening over here.
I know that when you added the detail lines on the roof, I was like, oh, I got drawn to that immediately.
So I want to call back to what happened here, the green. So I'm going to take a little bit of green and maybe behind on some of this, throw that in there. So then this isn't the only one that has some green. This shrubbery has some green too. You know, like, if you do it once, it can look like a mistake. If you do it twice, then it looks like you did it on purpose. And that's what you got to do sometimes.
I see.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I think sometimes people think that being professional or being really good at art is about never making a mistake. No, 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 my friend. It's about hiding the mistakes that you make, learning to adjust the mistakes that you make, or just learning from the mistakes that you make. Nobody writes for free. Everybody's got to learn the hard way. And sometimes that means really messing up. Okay. I feel like this needs, I don't know, something down here I'm going to do. And if you still want to do like, maybe, I don't know, maybe some shadow, kind of ground some of these things, go for it. It doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, I don't even know where my light source is right now. I'm totally just making it up. That's okay.
It's hard to find a light source in a rainstorm.
Yeah. Gosh, I really love how that turned out.
That looks amazing.
So fun. So different. Okay, so here are 2 different projects that you guys can do. And, like, I showed you how to do that one. So hopefully that was enough for you. But all right, let's remove the tape.
Yes, the big reveal.
The reveal. All right. When you remove tape, you want to remove it at a 90-degree angle, pulling away from your paper. And you want to be gentle and slow. Wow. Hello, can you look at that clean edge, ladies and gentlemen?
There was so much water and paint on that paper.
Yes. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
And I learned something, Keenan.
What?
I double taped my paper so you can still get the wonderful reveal, but my paper is still taped to my board, so it will still have that drying time.
Oh, I like that. Smart.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, look at that clean edge. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. Do you guys remember how much paint we used? Like, especially right on this edge?
Yeah, you had 3 layers on there.
Yeah.
At least.
Oh. Yes.
Too good.
Yes. Okay, this is so fun. And this is just a really new way to approach how to do landscape paintings. And we've never really done that sky before. We've never used like that dry brush technique to get the rain and the our artboard. So there was a lot of learning in this, a lot of new places that we went that we've never been before, but I think that's super fun and exciting. I hope you guys take this and run with it. Let some accidents happen on your painting and then make some decisions based off of those. You don't have to go in knowing exactly what something is going to turn out like. You really don't. Let the painting inform you as you go. Let yourself experiment. Let yourself play. And the worst thing that can happen, you got to throw this away and be like, oh no, I got to do that really cool rain technique all over again. Like,
bummer.
What a shame.
Again.
Grab some chocolate. Let's do this again.
Yes.
So if you're on Facebook, you can join our watercolor community. That's called Let's Make Art Watercolor. Super big, super nice, super welcoming, just a great place to learn and lurk. I lurk there a lot. Okay, and if you're on Instagram, you can tag us at Let's Go Make Art or hashtag Let's Make Art. And if you need any of these supplies, you can find them at letsmakeart.com. I'll see you guys later. Bye.